Whenever you face a major life decision, choosing a career, navigating a crisis, or even dealing with personal loss, the most powerful guide you can rely on is your understanding of yourself. Your true potential becomes visible when you find something that feels effortless, yet you excel at it. This pursuit of purpose, or true calling, requires an honest journey inward. As Carl Jung described, this process is called individuation. Individuation is the deep, transformative psychological journey of becoming your truest self, of weaving unconscious impulses, hidden fears, and forgotten desires into the fabric of your conscious personality. It's not just self-discovery, it's self-integration. For Carl Jung, one of the towering minds of 20th century psychology and the founder of analytical psychology, individuation was not an optional side quest in life. It was the very purpose of our psychological existence. Jung viewed the human psyche as a vast landscape full of mystery, symbol, and untapped potential. While he started his career under the mentorship of Sigmund Freud, their paths eventually diverged. Freud emphasized the repression of childhood experiences and sexuality, but Jung saw something more expansive. He delved into mythology, dreams, religion, art, ancient symbols, and collective memory to map out the architecture of the soul. He believed that our deepest healing doesn't come just from reliving trauma or excavating childhood wounds, but from aligning our conscious life with the wisdom buried in the unconscious. In doing so, we reclaim lost parts of ourselves and become whole. Individuation is that long, sometimes painful, but ultimately empowering process of drawing out what is buried within and giving it voice in our outer life. Through works like Man and His Symbols and the Archetypes and the Collective Unconscious, Jung gave us not just theory but a language for transformation. He taught that every person carries within them untapped energy, hidden talents, archetypal forces, and the potential to live not as a fragmented being, but as a unified, radiant self. And that journey, that sacred inward odyssey, is individuation. Jung's work emphasized healing not just through uncovering repressed memories, but through understanding the self in a larger, meaningful context. His books, such as Man and His Symbols and the Archetypes and the Collective Unconscious, form the foundation of Jungian thought. Central to his ideas is the belief that your full potential lies dormant until you go through individuation, transforming from a fragmented self into a unified whole. Don't let others define you. From the very beginning of life, we are surrounded by voices telling us who we should be. Our families set expectations, our schools mold us into societal norms, and media bombards us with images of success, beauty, and worth. Slowly, quietly, our true selves are buried under layers of performance and pleasing. But Carl Jung warned us clearly, if you do not define yourself, the world will do it for you, and the world rarely has your best interest at heart. Jung's insight, the world will ask you who you are, and if you don't know, the world will tell you, strikes at the core of authenticity. It reminds us that identity is not given, it is built. You must ask yourself the hard questions. Who am I beneath the roles I play? Am I acting this way because it feels right, or because I was told it's the right way to be? Are my choices rooted in my own desires, or am I unconsciously living someone else's life? If your self-image is fragile or undefined, the pressure to conform can become overwhelming. You end up chasing approval, fitting into molds that shrink your soul, and over time, that quiet dissatisfaction festers into regret. Jung believed that true psychological health comes only when the self speaks louder than the noise around it. You must find the courage to listen inward. This isn't about rebellion for the sake of it. It's about real self-ownership. It's about knowing whether you truly enjoy leadership or if you've just been told you should be assertive. It's about recognizing whether you find peace in solitude or you're simply withdrawing because connection once hurt you. When you define yourself, your path becomes clearer. You begin to live in alignment with your true nature instead of constantly shape-shifting to meet external demands. Define yourself not by what pleases others but by what awakens something real within you. The journey of individuation demands this inner excavation. Because until you can say, with clarity and conviction, "This is who I am," you remain at the mercy of a world that will eagerly tell you who to be. If you don't know yourself, the world will shape you. And if your sense of self is weak, you'll follow the crowd, conforming to roles that leave you unfulfilled. Jung warned against this. He encouraged deep self-reflection. Are you truly outgoing, or just pretending to be? Do you crave structure, or does freedom drive you? Is your competitive edge authentic, or are you masking a deeper insecurity? Without answers to these questions, life becomes a performance, not an expression of authenticity. True growth begins when you recognize and amplify your inner voice over society's noise. Define yourself, or the world will do it for you. Discover your values, embrace your uniqueness, and take steps to live a life that reflects your true self. This is the only way to walk a path that leads to genuine potential. Understand your passions. Jung once wrote, "A man who has not passed through the inferno of his passions has never overcome them." This hauntingly poetic line speaks volumes. It reminds us that if we want to unlock our potential, we must face not just the pleasant parts of ourselves, but also the raw, turbulent, and often inconvenient emotions that lurk beneath the surface. Passion isn't always fiery joy. Sometimes, it's uncomfortable, dark, even terrifying. We often suppress our most intense passions because they seem unruly, embarrassing, or even dangerous. You might feel a pull toward something, a dream, a desire, an urge, but dismiss it as foolish, risky, or socially unacceptable. Maybe you secretly crave a creative life, but you were told it's impractical. Maybe you feel a deep longing to speak your truth, but fear judgment. So you push these desires down. You hide them, but they don't vanish. Instead, they fester in the unconscious and influence your life in strange, indirect ways, through anxiety, depression, compulsive behaviors, or unexplained dissatisfaction. Jung's genius was to show that these buried passions aren't enemies, they are signals. They are parts of your authentic self, crying out for expression. Repression leads to fragmentation, but exploration leads to wholeness. When you begin to understand your passions, even the ones that scare you, you start to reclaim your energy, your creativity, your purpose. This means confronting uncomfortable truths. It means asking, what excites me? What angers me? What do I dream about when no one is watching? What have I always wanted to try, but never dared? Your answers may shock you, and that's a good thing. Because behind those answers is the path to your individuality. Try keeping a dream journal. Start writing out the thoughts and urges you normally censor. Allow your fantasies, even the ones you don't understand, some space to breathe. Over time, patterns will emerge. Passions will reveal themselves. And with patience, you'll see how what once felt like chaos is actually a compass. To realize your potential, don't fear your passions. Befriend them. Study them. Let them guide you into the life you were meant to live, not the one you were told to pursue, but the one that ignites your soul from within. To reach your full potential, you must turn toward what disturbs you, not away from it. If you're afraid of public speaking because of a humiliating childhood experience, suppressing that fear won't make it disappear. But facing it, perhaps by gradually practicing or journaling about it, can help transform fear into strength. Your hidden passions might actually point toward your greatest talents. Jung believed that by exploring dreams, practicing introspection, and being honest about what moves us, even when it's uncomfortable, we begin healing and reclaiming parts of ourselves that were buried. This integration allows us to live more passionately, more freely. Rather than fearing our desires, we must understand them, because they might just lead us to the life we were meant to live. Focus on who you want to be. I am not what happened to me, I am what I choose to become. In that single sentence, Jung captures one of the most empowering ideas in all of depth psychology. You are not just a product of your past. You are a creator of your future. Too often, we move through life on autopilot, unconsciously reenacting stories we didn't choose. Childhood wounds, being ignored, judged, rejected, or misunderstood, quietly form the blueprint for how we show up in adulthood. We choose careers to please others, enter relationships to avoid loneliness, and stay in situations that no longer serve us because we fear the unknown. But Jung warns us, if we let the past write our story, we surrender the pen. We give away the power to define ourselves. Jung believed that the path to wholeness begins with vision, not of what has been, but of what could be. He called this process individuation, the conscious integration of all parts of the psyche into a unified, authentic self. And that process requires a decision, to stop being merely a product of experience, and start becoming an architect of purpose. Ask yourself, who do I want to be 5 years from now? What does that version of me think about, stand for, wake up for? What kind of energy do they bring into the room? What kind of impact do they leave behind? Visualize that version of yourself clearly, not as a fantasy, but as a target to grow toward. Let it be specific. Let it be vivid. Then act in alignment with it every single day. You may stumble. You may hear echoes of the old self trying to pull you back. But that's okay. Each time you choose your vision over your history, you evolve. You reclaim authorship. And eventually, the habits of your future self will become second nature. To focus on who you want to be is not wishful thinking. It is an act of psychological courage. It means saying, my past shaped me, but it does not define me. My future is something I get to create. The self is not found, it is forged. Give up your addictions. Every form of addiction is bad, no matter whether the narcotic be alcohol, morphine, or idealism. Jung viewed addiction as an escape, a refusal to confront reality. Whether it's substance abuse or being overly attached to a utopian belief system, addiction numbs us from facing the raw truth of our lives. Addictions, even to ideas, are often coping mechanisms for pain, disappointment, or fear. When you avoid life's hardships by indulging in distractions, you lose touch with your true self. Jung emphasized that healing requires reality contact. If you're unhappy with your weight, job, or relationships, the solution is not to drown your sorrows in alcohol or in unrealistic fantasies. The answer is to take honest stock of your situation and begin changing it, slowly, courageously, and consciously. Overcoming addiction means taking responsibility. Stop running from discomfort. Instead, develop a plan grounded in realism. Consistent actions toward a meaningful goal can replace destructive behaviors. The sooner you face your reality, the sooner you can reshape it into something that empowers you. Be honest about your capabilities. You are what you do, not what you say you'll do. Jung had little patience for self-delusion. Talk is easy, transformation requires action. Individuation demands that you align your actions with your aspirations. Early in life, you experiment. You try things, overpromise, push limits. But as you grow, especially beyond midlife, it becomes essential to assess what you can truly do. Understanding your real capabilities isn't defeatist, it's liberating. When you are honest with yourself about your strengths and weaknesses, you can find the path where you perform with the least resistance and greatest satisfaction. Stop pretending to be someone you're not. Deliver on what you say. Let your actions reflect your intentions. That's how people trust you. And that's how you start walking the path toward your potential, one built on truth, not illusion. Make strengths from your weaknesses. Jung reflected, I regret many follies which sprang from my obstinacy, but without that trait I would not have reached my goal. Weaknesses, if approached with insight, can become strengths. That same stubbornness that caused Jung problems in daily life also gave him the resolve to forge a path that transformed psychology. We all have traits that are seen as flaws. But sometimes, these traits contain hidden power. Sensitivity might make you less practical, but more empathetic. Imagination might make you seem distracted, but it can fuel creative genius. Instead of suppressing or fighting your weaknesses, ask, how can this be used positively? The key is to know when and where to apply each trait. Channel your energy toward environments that reward your true nature. Stop trying to be good at everything, Start being excellent at being you. Find a connection to the infinite. Jung believed, the decisive question for man is he related to something infinite or not? Whether it's through religion, nature, family, or the cosmos, a connection to something greater gives life depth. Without a sense of the infinite, life can feel empty. But when we see ourselves as part of something vast and meaningful, we become stronger, more resilient, and more motivated to fulfill our potential. Even if you aren't religious, simply contemplating your place in the universe or your contribution to humanity can create a sense of sacred purpose. Find your infinite. It could be your children, your faith, your art, or your role in society. Whatever it is, let it ground you, inspire you, and remind you that your life matters. Make time for deep reflections. You must be alone to find out what supports you when you find that you cannot support yourself. Solitude, for Jung, wasn't loneliness. It was clarity. In solitude, we meet ourselves without distraction. We discover what truly matters. Life is noisy. Expectations are loud. But in quiet moments, walking by a lake, writing in a journal, sitting in stillness, we hear our inner voice. It's in these moments we understand what fulfills us, what drains us, and what direction we should take. Make space for these reflections. They are not luxuries, they are necessities for anyone seeking to live a meaningful, purpose-driven life. Realizing your potential is not an event, it's a journey. Carl Jung's philosophy provides a roadmap. Know yourself, face your fears, choose your path, and connect to something greater. Let this guide your transformation. Thanks for watching.